Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing Thai wills, and we're also discussing divorce here in Thailand. Seemingly, these things shouldn't have very much to do with one another, but unfortunately they do more often than one would suspect. Because one of the big things that can happen in the event of a divorce is I find that a lot of people often forget to amend their will. I've actually seen circumstances come up like this. It's a very awkward situation where you have somebody who's passed away, they've been divorced from someone, but their will is still out there, and their will stipulates that their assets are bequeathed to their prior spouse. And you'll oftentimes see circumstances like this arise. It's usually somebody, frankly, who doesn't have a regular attorney, and I get it. People aren't really wanting to think about their death. They're not thinking about their will. They get a divorce. They may think about it for a moment, and then the struggles, the trials and tribulations of life arise. They got to deal with something. They forget about it, and then lo and behold, they're gone, and now their stuff is going maybe to someone they really didn't particularly want it to go to. Meanwhile, another thing to think about is subsequent remarriage. This can have an impact on whether or not one basically drafts a will, because if you have a new spouse, you're definitely going to want a new will so that and yeah, there are methods in both Thailand and common law jurisdictions where you can challenge a will, on the basis that, hey man, his state of mind on this whole thing substantially changed from the time that person wrote the will. But that said, when you've got a written, properly formalized will, for example here in Thailand, it's pretty hard to overcome that if, even with a pretty compelling narrative, it's oftentimes pretty hard to overcome that instrument because that instrument is highly demonstrative of testamentary intent, that person's intention of what to do with their belongings. So those who do have a Thai will and maybe something happens with their spouse or something, definitely a good idea to look at redrafting that document. The other thing to bear in mind is remarriage. You may want to think about the state of basically the state of your estate should something happen to you, and you're probably going to want to go ahead and draft a will accordingly.